Make sure you guys smash that subscribe button if you guys are fans of the content being posted onto this channel to always be in the loop with more content similar to this, and be sure to hit the video up with a like if you're enjoying the content. And with that being said, let's begin. So after many years of having to wait, we finally now have the confirmation that Jeepers Creepers will in fact be returning with a brand new movie later on this year in 2021 entitled Jeepers Creepers Reborn. Now with that being said, we now understand that the property rights for Jeepers Creepers have been sold, and there is a new company and production team behind the new movie. Now, what does this mean going forward in terms of reintroducing the elements of what once made Jeepers Creepers so fun? Is this going to be a recurring theme? Are we going to see the resurgence of Jeepers Creepers? And to that, I would say yes, only because Victor Salva is now gone. He is no longer a part of the project to my knowledge, and with that being said, there is more of an opportunity now to have a backing with a much bigger budget and more marketing behind pushing the movie out to new audiences. And I think that what we could end up seeing in this movie is kind of like the resurgence, the renaissance for Jeepers Creepers, only because a lot of people universally agree that Jeepers Creepers 1 was the best GC movie in the franchise, right? Jeepers Creepers 2 obviously a close second, and nobody talks about the third movie because the third movie was a complete and utter dumpster fire, right? So we understand now that the overall premise of Jeepers Creepers Reborn is going to be forced to travel with her boyfriend Lainey. She begins to experience premonitions associated with the urban myth of the Creeper. Lainey believes that something supernatural has been summoned and that she is at the center of it all. So that's interesting only because we've never seen, to my knowledge, or have been introduced to this character in GC before. And with that being said, we also now know and have confirmation that Jonathan Breck is going to be returning as the Creeper. But what I think this movie needs to establish is the overall grounds and lore that the first movie had introduced by allowing the Creeper to be and feel and look and become the supernatural kind of element that he was, the sort of like unstoppable, immovable object that we've seen be introduced in Jeepers Creepers 1, to where he was able to take down an entire police department. He was able to do everything he needed and wanted to do to get to Derry at the very end, which finally he did. So I think with that being said, what this movie needs to introduce is bringing back the elements of his truck, bringing back the elements of his barn, bringing back the elements of the cathedral, if you want to completely go on ahead and reboot this movie, right? Because Jeepers Creepers 3 originally was going to be set and featured inside of this cathedral, so there's so much lore, especially when going back to the comics involving the Creeper. But the only problem I have here is I really do truly hope, and I am concerned, that this movie is either going to be going straight to DVD or going straight to a streaming site, which I don't want to happen, only because when you take a look at all of these horror icons and all of these horror characters we've seen throughout the decades, Jason, Michael, Freddy, Pinhead, you have Candyman, Chucky, so many characters, so many iconic figures, the Creeper stands out as being one of the most interesting and unique, only because he isn't around forever. He sleeps for 27 years, he comes back every 23rd spring to feast and replenish himself and do all of these chaotic and crazy things that we don't normally see other characters do, right? So to allow that to stick and to allow this character to grow on its own, this movie definitely needs a backing. This movie definitely needs to be released in theaters. If done right, if you have the right budget behind it, if you have the right people behind it, this could be a success. Now, in terms of the overall narrative, by the end, I think that there should be no survivors, only because you can continuously build on the lore and the mythos of the Creeper, which a lot of people do and still to this day want to know what the Creeper is and what his origin story is all about. If you guys have not read the comics, then you really wouldn't know that the Creeper was regarded and worshipped as an ancient deity. So I think that with this movie, and you guys can let me know in the comment section below, what it needs to introduce is the element of tension. You don't need to introduce all of these wacky, funny elements where the Creeper just looks like a complete goofball. I think that with the overall premise of seeing what happened with his truck in Jeepers Creepers 3 was absolutely abysmal. We don't need to see some supernatural truck that follows the orders of the Creeper. I mean, I really do like the idea of the truck having traps and the truck being something to where once you get in, you can't really go out, but at the same time, the truck operated on its own. We saw how the Creeper kind of appeared as though he had supernatural telekinesis-like abilities to wield his spear and do all these things. I think that goes beyond the origin of the Creeper that we've seen in the first 2 GC movies, so I think that it would be more than plausible enough for them to suit that narrative to keep it what it was and not turn him into a cartoon character. Now, what's interesting is we have no idea if we're going to be seeing Gina Phillips' character return. We don't know too much if they're going to be diving into the original lore of the original GC movies, which include 1, 2, and unfortunately 3, but what is known right now is that this movie is being looked at as sort of like a soft reboot in a sense, and they're adding a modernized spin to it to give more depth and lore to the Creeper, as established in the overall summary that this girl is going to be getting these premonitions of this supernatural entity that has been around for quite some time. So I really do hope that this movie kind of establishes the grounds of making the Creeper ruthless, because that's what made him so dangerous in the first movie, was seeing how desperate he got after he was ran over by the police vehicle and stumbling onto the police station, to where he was eating criminals, he was eating cops. This dude was on an absolute rampage, just as he had done in GC2, but in GC2, they kind of turned him into sort of like a comedy act, right? So I don't want to see that personally. I think that that would ultimately take away from his character, because the Creeper never came off as a character to where he was goofy, he was quirky. Of course, he messed around with, his victims, but I think ultimately enough they need to keep him as a well-rounded, serious, intellectually gifted character, to where it's not a dumb monster that just stumbles around eating people. In fact, the Creeper is intelligent, and the Creeper is willing to go to any lengths just to get what he wants, which is of course his victims, after sniffing them out. So the only concerns I have is if they're going to follow suit by giving him the proper weapons that he had, wielded from the first and second movie, if they're going to allow him to kind of have this mythos to where by the end he's either going to go back to sleep or something else happens. But this could open up the doors for us to get more, kind of movies like this, if of course the franchise does become successful following the relinquishment of Victor Salva from Jeepers Creepers, which now is a good thing, because a lot of us do want to go back into the lore of the Creeper, which I do hope that they kind of explore in giving us a definitive answer as to what he is. If you guys want to go based off the comics, then he is an ancient, I guess you could say, deity. If you want to go based off of assumptions, then you can say that he's a demon, an alien, whatever it may be. I think that with the overall narrative of this girl seeing premonitions, there should be something to kind of explore and shed more light on, to suggest that whatever this thing is not obviously a person. So I do have high hopes, and I think that a lot of you guys should as well, because if this is not something where it goes straight to DVD, or it's going to be simply put on a streaming site, then it's a good thing to see this be released in theaters, because the more eyes I think you get on this product, the better it is. Because the bottom line is, if the company is able to make more money, then they're going to obviously follow up by continuing this, and I really do hope that one day they kind of go a little bit more in-depth by shedding light from the comics to suggest otherwise, that this thing has been around since the days of the Mayans, the Aztecs, the Incas, and I think it would be ultimately a good touch just to kind of get clarity as to what the Creeper is. You don't have to go full in-depth with, his name and the overall premise of like how old he is or whatever, but just to establish what he is, and I guess you could say what time period he does come from. So the truck, the cathedral, the potential barn from the comics, we have brand new characters, and it's interesting because this could set the precedent in giving us so many more movies. I doubt that this is going to be the last movie, and I think that would be the worst case scenario, is to have the Creeper just be wiped out and just killed off like early on, or even towards the end of the movie to basically close things off. I think that would be something that so many people don't want to see, but still, it's within the realm of possibility for them to go on ahead and just destroy the Creeper by the end of this movie. But by the end of all of this, in the comment section below, I want to get your thoughts on your initial thoughts on Jeepers Creepers Reborn, if it's going to be something that's going to benefit the franchise, or if you're one of those people that really have no optimism for this, if you think that perhaps maybe this is simply another cash grab, or is another movie that's going to be a letdown, then I want to hear from you in the comment section below. Again, thank you all so much for watching, thank you all so much for your time. If of course you guys are new to the channel, then I do encourage you guys to go ahead and smash smash that subscribe button and give this video a big fat thumbs up by slapping that like button down below. Tune back in for more. I'm excited only because I want to see what the trailer and what the teasers and what everything behind the scenes is going to look like before diving into this movie, because if anyone who is anyone remembers the god-awful Jeepers Creepers 3, then it's safe to say that whatever this is going to be a lot better, but let's just wait and see. So again, thank you all so much for watching, tune back in for more, and I'll be seeing each and every single one of you guys down in the comment section below. Have a great day, everybody, and take care. Peace!